Good evening and salutations, my Jade fans. Okay, so this episode was weird. It was weird in some ways, right? So I was watching it somewhat live on YouTube, right? And with YouTube, you get to sit there and watch it, depending on where you are, a half an hour early. Now, I was sitting there watching it live and seeing live comments and stuff like that, and some people were upset with the way that they wrote Emma's characters. That they're saying, we missed the sweet Emma. Why can't we not get our Emma back? They're rewriting history. Let me tell you something. College changes people, right? And yeah, at one point she was nice and sweet and a straight A student and stuff like that. And college changed people. Now she got expelled. She's throwing parties. She's caught in water damage and all this other stuff, right? And she seems like she has a bit of an attitude. But I don't really understand why this is throwing people off. People do grow and they do change. And yeah, you might have been a sweet little innocent girl when you're like 9 or 10 or 12 or however old she was. But the minute that she started in college, after a while, she changed. And that's life. So I don't really understand why some people are so vexed by it. My thing is, there's a point where she talks to Joss, and it's awkward. I mean, like, it is just awkward. Like, even them hugging and everything like that. And she's like, oh, you work here? And it's just like, yeah. And then she asks for some sort of fancy drink, like she's demanding it or something. And they sit down, and it's like, where is this coming from? And then it seems like Emma is that they're trying to get under Joss's skin. Talking about, oh, well, don't you just love Gretchen? I actually really did hook those two up and everything like that. Like, she's trying to really get under her skin. And then there's a point where she's like, remember back when we were both into Cam? And I vaguely remember that, but when that happened, they were kids. I mean, like, they were kids. So when she said, she was like, yeah, I remember that. It was like, yeah, I mean, that was like years ago. They were like under 12, I think, at that point. Like, why are you just randomly bringing that up? And it just seems like they had this frenemies sort of thing. And I'm so curious about that. Like, that's something I can understand if they just rewrote that because it just didn't seem like it really made a lot of sense. It's like now they're somewhat butting heads like they always had this issue. You let me know. Maybe I'm just not remembering it right, but I could have swore it was never really so contentious. I don't know how. I barely remember them even like sharing screen time, except for when Jocelyn was played by a different actress when they were like 10 or 12 or something. So the fact that she just randomly brought that up is like, yeah, like years ago. What's your point? Um, So Marty gets there. Laura and Alexis are having a conversation about Sam. Marty gets there. Marty's like, "Hey, listen, we gotta talk about Cassadine business." And long story short, Ace is new heir to Cassadine fortune, and Alexis is a trustee. Now Laura's like, "Oh no, I don't want him to have any of that money. That money is bad. It's bad juju. It's bad karma and stuff like that." I was like, "How about you just wait until Ace gets of age before you just start deciding that he shouldn't have the money?" And Alexa's like, "Oh, we should donate to charity." I'm like, "The hell is wrong with those two dingbats?" I, I, I mean, Laura's not there talking about like it's some sort of curse. And like, I don't think it's a curse. I think it's what people do with the money. It's not the money itself. So they both just started sounding like complete idiots. It literally made no damn sense. And like, I guess that kind of tracks with Laura because, well, Laura has been making a lot of dingbat moves for some time now, for some years, if we're gonna be honest. So I guess I really shouldn't be too surprised at this latest of whatever the hell is going on with her. Lamar's like, hey, listen, I ain't going nowhere. Like, that money is going to stay right there until he is of age. And Laura's like, oh, we'll be fine. It's like, what happens when Ace turns 18 and in Ace wants, like, I don't know, Lamborghini, you have to sit there and get like the older model because you didn't have enough money to get the newer model. I mean, I'm just not there saying like you can. I don't know. It just seemed like it was It just seemed like it was a little bit too much. It seemed like it was a little bit too much. Like it's not the money; it's the people and what they do with the money. Um, Ava felt kind of bad that she couldn't give Trina her usual bonus because um, well, she don't got the funds to do it. And Alexis was really happy when she found out, when she saw signing papers and realizing that money was not going to Alexis was not going to Ava anymore. She signed that quick as shit. But Trina's like, no, 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 no. She gave her a painting, and Trina's like, no, I'm not going to take your last little bit of money. She did agree to take it, but she was like, if things change, I'll give it back to you. Then you see Kai just randomly walking past her, and Trina walks up to Kai like, what's going on? And Kai is hiding out. He doesn't like these little get together functions, these events or whatever, fan events and stuff. Um, he just finds them to be pretty exhausting. And the coach comes in with his son. Like, oh, could you take a picture of my son? And then after that, he's like, oh, well, why don't you go downstairs and meet some of the donors and sponsors and stuff like that. And Trina comes up with some excuse about how he has to do some sort of school project. The coach is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There was nothing more important in football. And it's just a weird, awkward silence. Like, yeah, listen, I get that football is important, part of the scholarship and everything like that. I get that part, but you're doing a little bit too much. Like, you might want to just bring it down a little bit. And I'm pretty sure there's other things more important than football. Just saying. Um, and so she gets him out or whatever. Um, Sasha's sitting there thinking about leaving. She's looking at houses to get away from Port Charles and go to the Hamptons for a new start. And I'm just like saying it would be easier. I was like, it would be easier on you. But what about Michael? Like it seems so seems so selfish. Maxie doesn't like it, but she respects her decision to go. But I'm like, is she leaving the show though? I mean, I'm not gonna put that into the universe. But if that's a chance of happening, like let's sit there and say that they are going to take Sasha off the show. If they take Sasha off the show, I think people need to start worrying a little bit, just a smudge, okay? Because there are so many people that have left the show, got fired by the show mostly. That if she leaves, you got to be like, what are you doing? Like what is General Hospital doing at this point? Um, Michael meets up with Diane, and you have this strategy session and everything like that. And Michael pretty much is like, I don't want to rip the kids from Willow because Willow is their mother and their mother is important, but I'm also important too. So I want it to be amicable and fair. Now there's something that I've seen in the comment section in my chat. I've seen it in different comment section of General Hospital clubs. That people are there saying that Willow took the kids from Michael. Like, like she's keeping the kids away from Michael. And that's not the case. Willow never at once sat there and said, well, you can't come and visit the kids. Yeah, she took the kids to Nina's place, and that was very questionable and kind of stupid somewhat. But, like, people are trying to make it seem like, she took the kids without him actually being able to see the kids. And that's not the case. So I don't really understand that. I'm not really getting this whole. I mean, don't get me wrong. What Willow did was trash, right? And her taking the kids out the house just seems so unnecessary. But people are trying to make it seem like she just ripped the kids from Michael's life and she's not allowing him to see the kids, and that's not the case at all. So I don't really understand where people are coming with that. Um. Oh yeah, I talked about Anna. Anna just pretty much wants to get this girl back on track. She's been lying from jump. Coming back at 4 o'clock in the morning. Robin doesn't even know what's really going on, and just all the stuff that she's been doing. So at some point after they finish having a conversation, Jason comes in, and Jason's like, Lulu has a locale on Charlotte, so she's down there now. And Anna's like, that's a big mistake because if she finds Charlotte, that's going to lead all Valentine's enemies towards Valentine and Charlotte, and then that could be bad. And that's something that I don't think that Lulu was even really thinking about. Now Lulu does want to meet him with Charlotte. They talk and everything, and Charlotte, for the most part, besides being what a wanted fugitive, is doing pretty well. She's keeping up with her studies. She's traveling around the world. She's having a good time with her dad. And while Lulu wants her to come back home, Charlotte's like, "You have people." He doesn't. You know, and she doesn't seem like she's in immediate danger or anything like that. So I guess part of me is like, well, she does drop it, but she does put a tracking device in Charlotte's coat. So they're talking a little bit longer, and eventually Valentine shows up. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, actually got the actor back. That's pretty interesting. Now, a little bit before that, I wound up watching a video with the actor. I can't remember his name. James something. And he was talking about how he got a chance to have some sort of connection with his father before he wound up passing. And it's funny too because I was reading the comments and people was like, "Oh, I want you back on GH. I want you back on GH." And then while watching the show, it's like, "Oh shit! Oh, I guess you people got what you wanted." Um. So before that awkward ass conversation between Emma and Jocelyn got started, um, Jocelyn asked Jack if he could use the satellites to sit there and see what wound up happening at Ross Plaza with Dex and who stabbed him. But Jax makes up something talking like, the satellites are only good for 48 hours because it's a live feed and they scrub it after a while, so there's a no go. The minute that he left the diner, he asked whoever to sit there and pull up those records. So he pretty much just lied to her. But he's a spy. So I mean, he can't sit there and be telling people or his, whatever. Um yeah, it's funny. I missed the conversation, I think a couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday, or the day before, with Brooklyn and Chase when they were trying to have a baby. And part of me was like, man, I should probably go back and redo it again. And I was like, yeah, that's not gonna. I was like, that's not gonna happen. Um, Mostly because I don't care, and I know they're gonna sit there and do this whole rewrite thing. That's whatever. It's interesting because people are noticing. I've seen people be like, oh, well, that's never what happened. They're retconning stuff. I'm like, the show's been going on for 50 years. These are lives have been going on for 50 something years, if not more. They're going to retcon some shit, okay? That's just what they do. So part of me is a little kind of surprised that people get so annoyed by it. It's 50 something years of history. They're gonna, even Y&R, hell, even B&B, and I think B&B is like in his mid 30s, early 40s as far as their history and as far as being on the show. So they're gonna retcon some shit. On a positive note, I'm actually wearing the right hoodie. One day I'm actually gonna get a hoodie for the other three songs. That should be fun. And I could sit there and just kind of change them out or whatever. I would get a Crimson Lights mark though. I don't think I would get any sort of marks from like General Hospital or yeah. It definitely gonna be Crimson Lights or Society. No, Crimson Lights. I like that better. Anyway, I feel like that's pretty much about it. Diane did sit there and say, "Hey, listen, I'm a really fight for you. You just got to sit there and be honest with you. You got to have transparent with me throughout this whole thing." Now, Michael has not really told anybody that he slept with Sasha, and he's gonna have to sit there and tell that at some point because Diane needs to be prepared. So what Michael did do, he wound up calling Sasha to sit there and meet up because he's gonna have to sit there and be like, "Hey, listen." I got to put this out there, okay? I'm about to sit there and go into a custody battle, and Nina might be involved. Most likely, she is involved because this whole thing does not seem like something that Willow would do. So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. And even some of the stuff that would normally be on the side, as far as who cheated first, the fact that that video was leaked, they call that revenge. I'm not gonna say what it is. We all know what it is, but that video could actually be in her favor. So that does suck. I'm not gonna lie, that does suck because she is the one that cheated, and somehow because it got leaked by Tracy's dumbass, um, it can wind up working against her. Even though she cheated first, even though she cheated longer, it's still. Then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm not gonna get into, but I will sit there and get into it tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Born and Beautiful and Young and Restless. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Also share the video, because that really does help. It really does help. So if you can share this video, it would mean a lot. Laters.